I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Warren County Board of Supervisors, Tuesday, May 21st, 2024. If you'd please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand up. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Are there any agenda deletions? Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Here.
Peter?
Here.
Snell?
Here. Okay, we have the consent agenda before us. Are there any concerns about that? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as...
Second.
We have a motion.
I didn't mean, I interrupted her. I thought she was done.
It's okay.
I will second her motion, though.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye. Okay. Now we're on to item 2, the claims. Any questions about the claims?
No.
Oh, we're only doing 904,000 this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a little less.
Last time it was 2.1 million, I think it was. So, anyway, can I have a motion to approve the claims as presented?
I'll make a motion to approve the claims.
Second.
Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye. Okay, now we're ready to discuss RAGBRAI ordinance. Somebody going to talk about that?
I think Amanda Sponsinger was going to, so I'm not sure if I haven't heard anything, but.
Well, I know from our prior work session that we had on this that there was a possibility we were going to have an ordinance brought forth to us. I believe the Indianola City Council had prepared an ordinance, and I'm not sure how this relates to that discussion. I think in light of the fact that nobody is here to discuss it, I think let's table this for right now.
Great.
Are you okay with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's go to item 4 then. And this would be the first reading of the new ordinance relating to the repeal of Chapter 21 and the replacement with ordinance changes.
Good evening.
Good evening, Don.
I'm going to be before you several times over the next several months. It is time once again to codify the Warren County Code of Ordinances. We do that every 5 years. I contact all the department heads and/or elected officials who have responsibility for the ordinances within our code book, and we review those ordinances. This just happened to be the first one that we tackled this time, and it is the animal control ordinance. We have an ordinance right now that is called the Animal Control and Dangerous Dogs Ordinance. I'm going to ask that you repeal that ordinance and that we replace it with a new ordinance, which is animal control. Dangerous dogs, part of that ordinance was handled largely by environmental health and also then the Board of Health. This ordinance has been before the Board of Health. It's up to the Board of Supervisors to approve an ordinance, so that's why I have brought it to you. What we removed was dealing with dangerous dogs, and that is going to be handled now by adopting the Iowa Code, which we have been able to use in the past, but now we're going to adopt that chapter of the Iowa Code. I believe it's 251. And then those issues will not have to go before the Board of Health. However, the Board of Health does have oversight over any issues regarding rabies, so that we still will follow that part of the Iowa Code where we check to see if the dogs have been vaccinated. If we get a report of a bite of a human by a dog, we ask that the owners kennel the dogs at home, quarantine that dog at home, or quarantine the dog at Kyakota. And then if they can show us proof of a rabies vaccine and there's nothing going on with the dog, then the dog is returned to them. They're able to take the dog or let the dog out of quarantine at home. And that's the only responsibility that the Board of Health has to deal with regarding dangerous dogs. So that is the changes we've made to that ordinance, and I would ask that the board consider.
I just have one question here. In light of how the state of Iowa is starting to reorganize the boards of health across the state, will this automatically be affected by that as well at that time?
I would say probably yes, but I don't know who will have oversight of the rabies issue at that point. But when that happens, we will redo our ordinance to comply with the state code and the reorganization.
Okay.
I have no questions. I have nothing.
Okay. Do we have a motion to do the first reading and approval here?
I'll make a motion to repeal the first ordinances.
Oh, I'm sorry, we need to go to public hearing after I've done all that talking.
Oh,
We need
okay.
to go into a public hearing. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Michaela.
Okay.
Very good, okay.
Can I have a motion to go into public hearing?
I'll make a motion to go into public hearing.
And this is to discuss the repeal and replacement of Chapter 21.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye. We are now in public hearing. Is there anybody here that would like to address the Board of Supervisors on this issue? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye. So now we are back to the option of repealing and replacing. Can I have a motion to do that?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the repeal of Chapter 21, Animal Control and Dangerous Dogs, Warren County Code of Ordinances, and approves Chapter 21, Animal Control, Warren County Code of Ordinances, and waive the second and third reading.
Can I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Thank you.
So we have adopted the change here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dawn.
Now we will move on to item number 5, which is to consider approval and acceptance of quotes for painted pavement and markings and award the contract with possible action.
Good afternoon, Board.
Good afternoon.
All right, this is our yearly pavement marking quotes that I send out. And out of the 4 vendors that I sent a quote packet to, we received 3 quotes back. And I will read them quotes off with the vendor name. And I'll go from the least amount to the highest amount. The first one that we received back from was Vogel Traffic Services in the amount of $80,739.71. The second one is Quality Striping Incorporated. We received a quote packet back from them of $92,264.99. The third one is Iowa Plains Signing in the amount of $158,338.36. Proline Striping, I did not receive a quote packet back from them. These are all reputable vendors that are good at what they do. We are going to say from the engineer's office that we would recommend that Bogle Traffic Services be awarded the contract for painting pavement markings this year. So. And The resolution is to approve the quotes that we had received and then award of contract to Vogel Traffic Services and authorize the chair to sign us into contract.
Okay.
Are there any questions?
No questions.
Can we have a motion to approve the resolution?
I will make a motion to approve the county engineer's review of the quotes from the contractors for painted pavement markings and accept the quotes received as read, and award the contract to Vogel Traffic Services in the amount of $80,739.71, and authorize the chair to sign the contract.
Do you have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 6, consider transferring capital asset of a 2018 Dodge ProMaster from the Sheriff's Office to the Warren County Attorney's Office with possible action. We had discussed this in the earlier work session. Is there anybody here that wants to speak to that?
I don't believe the sheriff was able to attend, but his email was pretty clear stating that there were multiple agencies initially provided the funds for the purchase of the van, and when the county needed it for prisoner transportation to other jails. So just with the current formation of the Warren County Drug Task Force and Special Response Team, he feels the van would fit the needed purpose for a team transport van.
Okay. Are there any questions about what we're trying to do here?
I have no questions, and I would have no problem going ahead and approving the transfer.
Do you want to make that a motion?
Is there any other discussion, or?
I don't think
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to transfer capital asset 2018 Dodge ProMaster from the Sheriff's Office to the Warren County Attorney's Office.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye. Item number 7, consider appointing Stephanie Riva to the Condemnation Compensation Commission in the position of owner of city or town property with possible action. Any questions about that? Just a reminder to the board, we do have several other positions on this that we need to fill, so our efforts continue with that. We've been waiting, I believe, Michaela, can you bring us up to date a little bit on where we are with the possible farm or what the categories are and how we've reached out and what the status is of receiving recommendations for appointment?
So there are 4 categories. Let me pull them up here just a second.
I see it, okay.
But we're needing to fill several vacancies. With that addition, we still have 1 vacancy for owner of city or town property, 2 vacancies for licensed real estate salesperson or real estate broker, 4 vacancies for persons having knowledge of property values by reason of occupation, and the largest vacancies, we have 5 vacancies for owner-operator of agricultural property. It is a paid commission, $200 plus mileage.
And how do people apply or show interest if they want to?
They can apply online. There's a form, it's a fillable form online at warrencountyia.gov under boards and commissions. And then emails can be sent to the Board of Supervisors.
Okay. Tonight, we have the Stephanie Riva possible appointment. If we'd like to go forward, we could at least do that one tonight. I think it's important that we bring this up because the public needs to be involved in this process, and that's why I want to make sure that they know how to do that. So Michaela, thank you very much for sharing that information. So if people are interested in being appointed and considered for appointment to these open vacancies, the Board of Supervisors, I think, would be very open to receiving that interest. Can I have a motion to approve Stephanie Riva and her appointment to the Compensation Commission in the position of owner of a city or town property?
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Okay, great. We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre.
Aye.
Peter.
Aye.
Snow.
Aye. Okay, we'll move on to item number 8, budget reports.
Okay, hello. At the end of April, we were 83% through the fiscal year. And starting with the expenses, the budget overall looks pretty good. We have one line item for medical examiner where that has actually gone over. At this point, we're looking at a reappropriation. The two main departments that are within the same category as medical examiner would be the attorney or the sheriff. So I've reached out to the sheriff to see if we could possibly transfer some from his budget or maybe do a split between the two budgets to do a reappropriation. But other than that, the entire budget is at about 64%, so it's looking pretty good for the getting towards the end of the fiscal year.
On the medical examiner report, the expenditures there, do we anticipate that self-correcting before year end, or are we just having that much activity that it's requiring the extra expenditure?
So I looked at this month to see what they're looking like, and it's only about 2,600 for this month. So I think it just spiked, and it's really hard to predict. I kind of, when I'm budgeting it, I look at the past 5 years, but then you can have a year like this year where it far exceeds what we actually expected the budget to be.
Okay. And when we're dealing with just because it kind of stands out here, what are the types of things that the medical examiner has to be engaged in that we as a county are responsible for?
I'd have to pull their expense report, but it's usually, I can't tell exactly what the expenses are. It's usually paying other cities and things like that, and I think there's maybe some transportation expenses in there.
Jamie, do you want to help out with that a little bit?
We pay for autopsies, we pay for transportation, we pay for blood draws for like OWIs if the sheriff needs something like that. Like Megan said, there have been a lot of deaths this year, and so that's why it's so high.
Kind of spiking.
And I will say for next year, I budgeted it higher, just so hopefully we don't get in the same spot next year.
Okay. We'll continue on.
Okay, so moving on to revenues. So looking at the revenues, DCAT services, that one is under budget. That's based on the timing of the state payment. I don't worry too much about DCAT because all of their expenses get reimbursed. Sometimes it's just a timing issue. County engineer, that should catch up this month with getting some more of the transfer. And then they did just get 6% of the bridge replacement funds that they budgeted for this year, but that would be, budgeting for things over the multiple years and not always knowing exactly when that'll come in. Wellness, that's just a timing transfer. I don't know if they'll need the entire transfer, which would be good, because then we can keep more of that in our general fund. So I should have a better idea on that next month. Capital projects, we have a transfer budgeted in there that we may or may not need, so that one is below as well. And then zoning, they have not received any subdivision fees so far this year. Their other fees are pretty on track for their budget. Questions on the revenues? Moving on to the fund balances. There are a couple to watch out for. If you look at general basic, we're currently set $675,000 lower than this time last year. If we look at the overall budget, where we wanted to sit, where we budgeted to be at the end of the year, we budgeted for that fund to go down about $315,000. Looking at rural basic, it's down $933,000. Our budget we did budget after the appeal for that to go down about 1.1 million. So that's kind of expected. The other big ones would be ARPA, which of course is expected as we spend those funds, and then capital projects as we spend those funds as well. Liberty Center, they've been doing more projects this year, so that fund has gone down some as well.
Okay.
If there's no questions, then those are my budget reports. You do also have March in your packet with the budget last month. I didn't get Marches on the March or on the April meetings.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Good job, Megan.
Thank you.
That's nice.
Thank you very much, Megan. Any comments or questions regarding the budget report?
Well, I'm generally very pleased with it,
Yeah.
with where the numbers are at. I actually anticipated the fund balances to be a little lower, like even a little bit lower than where they're at, so. And I think it is kind of a part of our plan to make our fund balances go down and, you know, a little bit. We're supposed to be doing that. So overall, I'm very comfortable with it. Usually we have 3 or 4, you know, things that are out of whack on expenses. We only have 1. So
Yeah.
overall, it looks really good.
Yeah, I would agree. Any thoughts?
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Then let's move on to the receiving and filing of reports for general assistance and the Humane Society.
I'll make a motion to receive and file said reports.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McIntyre,
Aye.
Peter,
Aye.
Snell,
Aye. And now we are on to supervisor reports. Who would like to share?
I'm going to forego mine since I've had some problems with my,
And with the late start, I'm going to forego mine as well.
I guess I'll forego mine too. Okay. We'll just keep going. And number 11, public input on items that were not on the agenda. Anybody who'd like to speak is welcome to do so. They have up to 3 minutes to do that. And no public input will be allowed for any of today's agenda items. Is there anybody that would like to come up? If you would, please come up, speak your name and your address. Address.
Christina Beach, 409 West 5th Avenue, Indianola, Iowa. Am I good? Okay. I am here this evening as the concerned granddaughter, niece, and great-niece of several homeowners in the Greenfield Plaza area. I had brought some things to your attention in the past week regarding that area, particularly some nuisance issues that were taking place. And in doing so, learned that there's not really much anything the county can do, aside from putting forward codes and future ordinances and stuff like that. So, last week, on Thursday, there was a shooting that took place between multiple vehicles while driving in a circle throughout the plaza. Police are still investigating. They did find the shell casings in the middle of the street. This took place right next to my 94-year-old grandma's house. Yes, deputies responded. It's time, though, that takes them to get there. By the time they're there, there's no patrol that regularly sees through that area. it could have been a very bad situation had any of those bullets hit homes. I mean, this happened, I want to say it was like 12:30 at night when it took place. I mean, people are at home in their beds when this is happening. And you add that to the fact that, you know, her neighbor, unfortunately, it's a rental property, and they don't take very good care of the property. It has become run down. It looks like a junkyard. It's bringing down the entire atmosphere of that community when you have those blighted homes like that there. And after further talking with other people within the county and doing my research as much as possible, trying to find any ordinances and things like that, there's original, I can't even think of what they're called now. They're not, it's like an HOA, basically. So there is that there, but there's no true enforcement of things that take place with that. I know there's been contention in the past between the county and the people that live there. My question for you, or my goal tonight, is to keep this in your minds, to keep this fresh, to not let this just fall to the wayside. I ask that you consider putting into place, I know back in, I think it was April, it was brought forward for you to consider adopting the international code, and that was denied. But if you had done something like that, that would have led the door open for actually putting into place nuisance ordinances and the different things that may help them, even though they're unincorporated right now. So my goal tonight would just be to ask that sometime in the near future, the county supervisors, whether it's you three or once it's the 5 sitting on there, reach out to not just that HOA association that they have, but reach out and send something to all of the residents in that area and do a workshop with them and actually explain some of these things to them, because that is where a lot of miscommunication is happening, is between the board and the residents. And my family specifically, I mean, I have at least a dozen family members in the Greenfield Plaza area. So, and none of them knew some of the things that I found out over the last week, not a single one. And so, especially when we were talking about ARPA funds and things like that. So I ask that you have that meeting, that sit down, open that door to the residents so they feel like they can actually come and get that information directly from you, to maybe be able to bridge that gap and give them actual information that will help. And then the other request I have would be to consider doing or opening the door to talking with Des Moines PD or Des Moines on doing a 28E agreement to help get more patrol in that area. It's increasingly becoming more frequent that your higher crimes are flooding down into the plaza. Last week was a prime example. Then the other request that I have is that, I know I had brought this up in previous conversations, but a tornado warning siren be placed within the plaza. Honestly, I don't care whose responsibility it is, whether it be the supervisors, the sheriff's department, the emergency management, I don't care. They need something. Last year when those tornadoes moved through there, it moved through right on the edge of the plaza. And you could literally pull up to one of the dead ends and see the tornado path. So I really ask that you move forward and get something in place for them. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else that would like to address the board? Please come forward, state your name, and please, for the record, state your address.
My name is Billy Joe Warden. My address is 6361 139th Lane, Indianola. I live in the Somerset area, born and raised. There's a problem out there. It's already a code that's on the books. I've been told it's not in the budget to enforce them. That is not right. That's not right to our community to let campgrounds be set up out there. They have not had garbage pickup in 5 years. I've never seen a camper pull out of there and dump their waste. I'm very concerned. I've been fighting this for 5 years.
Do you have an address?
I never expected to see myself standing here talking to you about this.
Do you have an address for that?
13800 Somerset Road. It faces the bike trail. And I don't understand putting more money in the bike trail when how many members of the community use that bike trail? It's a very small percentage compared to how many people go up and down Somerset Road. And to my understanding, they're going to be building some $1 million homes at the winery. How would you like to build a $1 million home up there and drive by that every day to get to it? I wouldn't. I'm proud of my community. My family members were founders of the church. Sandyville, that cemetery, 3/4 of it is my relatives. I am proud to be from Warren County, but I'm to the point where I am ready to sell my home. But surrounded by, there's probably 4 properties out there that have campers. They're living in campers, they're living in garages. Is that fair to the people of Warren County to not enforce that 24 by 24 law that's already on the books? This isn't something I just pulled out of my pocket
Right.
and come here with.
Who's telling you that there's no funding?
Mark,
No, I didn't tell you that.
yes, you did on the phone, and you had agreed to come out and meet with me this week, and then did not follow through.
There's other action that's going on, as we had also discussed. The county attorney and the sheriff are both involved with it, and they have a,
I've made calls to the sheriff. I've made many calls. I've called DNR. I've called the sheriff. I've called environmental health. I've called, this is all riding, I feel like, on the backs of these ladies that take care of zoning, take care of environmental health. That's who is right. This is all falling down on, and it isn't right. You know, you guys have been elected to do a job for the county, not for a percentage of the people, for all the people. And I feel like I'm being left out. Yeah, I don't pay as many taxes as some. Look at where I live. I pay more taxes than the people out by the balloon field. Now, how is that? That's beautiful. I'd love to live by the balloon field. I'm just, I wear my heart on my sleeve. Like I said, I'm proud to be from Warren County. I've always, my whole life, stuck up for Warren County. Oh, the cops are terrible down there. Don't do nothing wrong. The cops are wonderful. I've never had a problem here. I love this county from the bottom of my heart, and I want to, I'm the 3rd generation on my property. I'd like there to be a 4th. That's all I have. I'm hoping we can get something done with this sooner than later. I'm really tired of hearing, can't do, can't do. I want to hear, we can do something about this.
well, there is activity happening.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
tough deal. Any others that would like to come forward, share your comments? If not, the next meeting then will be Thursday, June 6th at 9:30 a.m. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Motion,
Second?
second, roll call.
McIntyre?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Snell?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, we're going to go into session.